Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell follows Vanessa Y, who at 15 years old had an affair with her 42-year-old English teacher, Jacob Strain. 17 years have gone by, and another former student of Strain's comes out with accusations of sexual abuse. Vanessa finds herself with the choice of either remaining silent about her own abuse or come forward to tell her story. Alternating between Vanessa's present and her past, My Dark Vanessa is a thought-provoking look in the mind of Vanessa, who holds to the belief that what she and Strain did was consensual and refuses to see herself as a victim. Yeah, guys, this is going to be a rather rough book review to get through. This is going to probably be a very uncomfortable book review to get through. That's because this is a rough book. This book is pretty rough to get through, but like in the best way, I guess. This book is not very pleasant. It can be very disturbing. It can be very uncomfortable. It can be very awkward at points. It's rough. But like I said, I mean that in the best possible way because I really enjoyed this book, you guys. I really enjoyed this, as uncomfortable as it made me feel. The thing is, I think that's the point of this book. This book it's meant to make you feel a certain way. You're not meant to feel happy, you know, joyful. You are meant to read this book and be kind of disturbed and uncomfortable, feel awkward about it. More than anything, you're meant to think about what you've just read. This is definitely the type of book that long after you put it down, I bet you're going to find yourself still kind of thinking about it and trying to analyze it, trying to analyze the character of Vanessa, trying to analyze the character of Jacob Strain, trying to analyze this vastly uncomfortable, disturbing relationship that goes on between them. And it's a very contemporary book. If you've been watching the news about, you know, women's movements and all that, yeah, this book is definitely a product of a lot of these women's issues that have been going on in recent years. People coming out about sexual abuse and, you know, accusations and all that sort of thing. So yeah, this book is definitely meant to be very thought-provoking, very disturbing. So yeah, if you're feeling a certain way when you're reading this book, that's okay. You're meant to be feeling that way. And yeah, to be honest, I did. Every time I finished this book, I felt a little depressed. I seriously was just kind of upset on occasion. It's definitely not the type of book that you're going to put down and like feel warm and fuzzy about, you know. You're definitely going to put it down and just, you're going to feel weird. That's how I felt. I felt very weird every time I put the book down because it just lingered, you know. It just, things that would happen or things that would be said, you know, just kind of linger. So this is definitely the type of book, you know, because I know some people are mood readers. I'm not particularly a mood reader, but this book definitely gave me an idea about what a mood reader is like. If you're a mood reader, you definitely need to be in the mood for this book. You can't take this book lightly. If you feel that this is going to be something that makes you upset and makes you very uncomfortable, if that's something that you think is going to make you very uncomfortable, that you're going to have a hard time getting through this book, this is definitely not the book for you. You definitely got to be in the mood to read it. You definitely have to be a very mature reader. You need to be prepared for some very difficult concepts, very difficult scenes. You need to be prepared to kind of sit and analyze. This is not the type of book that you just read it and you're like, oh, okay, I read it, I'm done. No, you really do need to think about it and relate it to just, I guess, the world at large, I suppose, and, you know, evaluate your own opinions, evaluate the opinions of others, you know, evaluate where people are coming from and why people do what they do, I suppose. So, talking about the character of Vanessa Y, when we're first introduced to her in this book, the book does alternate between her past and her present. So in the past, we're introduced to her at 15 years old, and then in the present storyline, she's like 32 years old. So you're getting this big chunk of her life that spreads over the course of the novel that goes back and forth essentially. And this relationship that she has with her much, much older English teacher, Jacob Strain. He's like 42 at the time. And then, yeah, like in the present, I think they said he's like 59 or so. So, yeah, the character of Vanessa Y. Vanessa Y is a very interesting character. And I really liked what Kate Elizabeth Russell did with Vanessa. There's just such depth and nuance to everything going on in this book, because Vanessa, I found myself, I was irritated with Vanessa. I just would get upset with her. I would find her annoying sometimes, but then other times I felt like there were moments I could relate to her. Because, I mean, I was a 15-year-old girl at some point myself, and so there were certain things kind of going on and certain behaviors she would have that I was like, okay, I kind of felt like that at some point. And then for another thing, like I said, I was a 15-year-old girl at one point, and I think most teenage girls, preteen teenage girls, I think at some point or another, a lot of us had crushes on our male teachers, you know, especially if they were kind of younger and very attractive. I know I certainly did. When I was in middle school, I had a very attractive PE teacher. Yeah, guys. I had a very extremely attractive PE teacher in middle school who was very, very young, because I think he was like in his 20s at the time. And I remember when I was in middle school, all of us girls, we had a crush on him. And some girls would just blatantly just flirt with him, which was very silly, I think, in retrospect, thinking back on it. I can't believe some girls actually flirted with him. But, yeah, I've been there. And a lot of girls, I think, have gone through that phase of their life that they've had a crush on an older male teacher, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. It's innocent, it's okay, you know, it's just a crush. You're gonna go through that. But yeah, where you draw the line, where it gets to be wrong, where it's wrong, is if you actually go through and it turns into a sexual relationship all of a sudden. You know, that's a no-no. That it's gross and despicable. So yeah, that's kind of where it is with Vanessa, that it's like, I understand the crush part of it, you know, I understand her having a crush on an older teacher, but then, yeah, when she starts just flirting and kind of acting a certain way, saying suggestive things, and then, yeah, finally get into that moment where they do have a sexual relationship with one another, that's where it's kind of like, oh dear Lord. That's where the book starts to get very uncomfortable, and you gotta get into Vanessa's skin, you gotta get into her mind, you have to understand her just mentally, where she's coming from, why she's doing what she's doing. And this, the whole book, it just makes you question so much, you guys. It makes you just question a lot of things, because a big part of this book is this whole thing of, you know, what is consent? You know, it makes you question what consent is, what Vanessa and her teacher had. Was that considered consent, or was it rape? Because Vanessa doesn't even start questioning if it was rape until she is older and she's thinking back on things. And yeah, the character of Jacob Strain, he's also a very fascinating character, because you're kind of questioning, okay, is this guy a monster? Is he a manipulator, or is there even the possibility of him kind of just being in this place of kind of similar to Vanessa, you know, that he's just he's his own worst victim as well, you know, because at one point he mentions to Vanessa, he says something along the lines of, oh, I've been waiting for my soulmate, and it just happens to be that my soulmate is a 15-year-old girl, much to my misfortune, you know. So there's that. Is Jacob Strain a victim as well of his own issues and problems, or is that just pretty words? You know, is it just pretty words to manipulate Vanessa? You know what I mean? So he's just as fascinating a character. Their relationship is just very fascinating and hard to get through, because yeah, you're questioning, okay, is this rape? Is this consent? What the hell even is it? And I think there is definitely a lot of manipulation going on his part, making her feel like she has power and control over the situation, because she does. At 15 years old, she feels like, oh, okay, I do have power, I do have control here. Everything that we're doing, I want to do. I can say no at any given point. But then, yeah, when she is an adult, she's looking back on all that, wondering, okay, maybe I didn't have power and control, maybe he did manipulate me, what's going on? So there's all of that, you know. Is Vanessa just delusional? She definitely needs like a psychiatrist, which we do see like in certain points of the book. She does eventually kind of see a psychiatrist, and she's trying to go over some things in her head. So yeah, this book is tackling a lot, you guys. It's tackling a lot of emotional things. You got to get into the head of Vanessa, as uncomfortable as that can be, and you have to try and see things from her point of view, whether you agree or disagree with some of the things happening and what she's doing. It's kind of just some of the best writing in this book, I feel like. I really applaud Kate Elizabeth Russell's writing. I really applaud her writing. She truly wrote with great maturity. You know, she handled the subject matter quite beautifully, I think. There's a great sense of maturity. There's a great sense of nuance and depth. And then, yeah, when you do get to Vanessa, when Vanessa's like 32 years old, there's this whole other thing that pops up, because another student of Jacob Strain's, she comes forward and says, oh, he sexually assaulted me, and Vanessa kind of refuses to believe that initially. Like, oh, you're just fooling yourself, it wasn't anything of the sort, you're a liar, you're just trying to ruin his reputation. And yeah, a lot of this is Vanessa just really struggling with her own thoughts, you know, struggling with the things that happened to her, struggling with her own sense of empowerment and control. And yeah, more than anything, Vanessa doesn't want to be seen as a victim. She thinks being a victim is just a weakness, and she doesn't want to be seen that way. So there's a lot of that, like, of labeling, you know. She doesn't want to be labeled as something that she feels like she isn't, but she probably is a victim, though. So yeah, overall, I'm not sure how this video is, if it feels coherent. My thoughts on Goodreads, I feel like I put my thoughts together much better on my Goodreads review. If you want to go to my Goodreads review, I think it sounds a lot better on there. I feel like it's much more coherent. But yeah, overall, I did really like this book. It definitely made me think long after I put it down. The characters were very fascinating. Everything going on was very fascinating. And yeah, like I said, it's a book that's meant to be disturbing and upsetting. It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable. You definitely got to be in the mood to read this. And yeah, just once again, I really applaud Kate Elizabeth Russell's writing in this. Great maturity. She does a great job of just balancing, you know, all these different sides and all these different positions when it comes to a topic like this, because it's a topic that people have opinions on, you know, and you gotta treat it carefully. You gotta look at all the different sides, and I think she does that very good, I think. So you guys, that is it for my review of My Dark Vanessa. In the comments below, have you guys read this book? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Just let me know your thoughts down below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.